Every morning, she tied a tight wrapper around her growing belly before struggling into her school uniform. Amaka was a bright and promising high school student. Her parents, strict but loving, always spoke of her bright future. She will make us proud, her father often said. But beneath the surface of her seemingly perfect life, Amaka carried a devastating secret. She was pregnant. Her boyfriend Emeka, a fellow student, had convinced her to keep quiet. "We'll figure it out after exams," he whispered one night, holding her trembling hands. Amaka couldn't bear the thought of disappointing her parents or derailing her education. Determined to finish her final exams and protect her future, she came up with a plan. Every morning, she tied a tight wrapper around her growing belly before struggling into her school uniform. The pressure made her nauseous and the heat became unbearable, but she endured. She avoided eye contact with her teachers and friends, afraid someone would notice. Her once lively personality grew subdued, but no one seemed to question her. Finally, exams ended and Amaka felt a bittersweet relief. That night, she packed a small bag and fled with Emeka to another town. They rented a cramped room with a small savings, and a few months later, their daughter Ada was born. At first, Amaka felt a surge of joy holding her baby, but reality quickly set in. Money was tight, and Emeka, unable to cope with the mounting responsibilities, became distant. One evening, after an argument, he left and never returned. Along with a new baby, Amaka faced hunger, unpaid bills, and sleepless nights. Desperation pushed her to make a decision she had dreaded for months. She would return home. She strapped Ada to her back and began the long journey, her heart pounding with every step. When she arrived at her family's door, her mother answered. At first, her mother's face lit up with relief, but then her eyes fell on the baby. "Amaka, what is this?" Her father appeared moments later, his expression hardening as he saw the child. "You brought shame to this family. We raised you better than this." Amaka felt her knees, pleading, "Papa, please, I had no choice. I need help for Ada." Her mother's eyes filled with tears, but her father shook his head. "You made your choice when you ran away. Now live with it. You cannot stay here." Her mother tried to argue, but her father was firm. That night, Amaka was sent away, clutching her crying baby in the dark. With nowhere to return, she walked into the unknown, tears streaming down her face as she vowed to find a way to survive for herself and her daughter. Amaka's life grew harder by the day. Carrying Ada on her back, she hawked fruits from street to street, her voice tired but persistent as she called out to potential buyers. Hunger gnawed at her stomach and her shoulders ached from carrying her baby all day. Yet, she pressed on, determined to provide for her child. One fateful afternoon, as the scorching sun bore down, Amaka walked along a busy road, her mind weighed down by thoughts of her struggles. She wondered if Ada would ever have a better life or if she would always live like this, tired, hungry, and broken. Lost in her thoughts, she didn't notice the car speeding toward her. By the time the driver honked, it was too late. The car hit her and she fell, shielding Ada with her body. Amaka and her baby were taken to the hospital. Doctors worked tirelessly to save them, and in the process, they found her identification and contacted her parents. When the news reached Amaka's family, her mother let out a heart-wrenching cry. Her father, who had been so resolute in his decision to disown her, felt a pang of fear and regret unlike anything he had ever experienced. They hurried to the hospital, their hearts heavy with dread. In the doctor's office, they heard the words that shattered their world. We did everything we could, but Amaka didn't make it. However, her baby Ada survived. Unfortunately, she has lost her sight. Amaka's mother collapsed in sobs and her father sank into a chair, his face pale and blank. I drove her to this, he whispered. I let my pride destroy my family. Suddenly, he woke up. His heart pounded as he sat up in bed, realizing it was all a terrible dream. Without hesitation, he got dressed and rushed out of the house to search for his daughter. After hours of searching, he found Amaka sitting under a tree with her baby Ada on her lap. She looked frail, her face lined with exhaustion and despair. Amaka, he called out. She looked up, startled. Papa! Tears streamed down his face as he knelt before her. I was wrong, my daughter. Forgive me. Come home. Amaka wept as her father embraced her and Ada. For the first time in months, she felt hope. Together, they returned home, where love replaced shame and healing began.